All right, let's talk about editing. Not the TikTok kind, I mean the ancient kind. The kind done by candlelight, with ink, politics, and a healthy fear of getting smote. See, a lot of modern readers, especially those of us trained to expect a tidy story, open the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and assume, right, this is a finished product. Neat, cohesive, divinely proofread. But that's not what's going on at all. The Torah isn't a smooth scroll. It's more like an archive, curated, layered, a little chaotic, full of tension, argument, and ghosts of voices we can't quite hear anymore. Centuries, scholars talked about the documentary hypothesis, right? The idea that 4 writers, J, E, P, and D, stitched this thing together like a divine group project gone wrong. But that's, in my mind, only half the story. Because behind those writers, you've got editors, redactors, as scholars say, people who didn't try to make everything fit. They didn't fix the contradictions. They kept them. And that, I think, is genius. These redactors weren't clumsy scribes. They were archivists, cultural curators with nerves of steel who looked at centuries of competing stories and thought, you know what? Let's keep them all. Let's not erase. Let's remember everything. That's redaction criticism in a nutshell. The study of what it means when editors decide not to clean things up. The Torah, in this light, isn't an edited out mess. It's a deliberate mess. The contradictions aren't accidents. They're the architecture. And maybe that tells us something about the people who wrote it. They weren't living in a time of unity or calm, even. If anything, they were surrounded by empire, exile, and existential dread. You can feel it in the text, that anxious hum of a culture asking, who are we? What happens if we forget? They didn't smooth things out. They preserved the fractures. They wrote and rewrote and rewove their own survival. And in doing so, they created something extraordinary. Not a divine monologue, but a national anthology. You see this everywhere in the Torah. Little gaps, little references, mentions of lost books or forgotten rituals. Those aren't mistakes. They're scars. They're proof that memory was being fought for, not handed down on a silver tablet. The editors knew that to preserve identity, you sometimes have to preserve disagreement. And that's where my own, let's call it, staged hermeneutic kicks in. I don't see these redactors as mystics. I see them as cultural tacticians, power brokers, people who understood that to keep a fractured people together, you don't erase the differences. You canonize them. You make the argument itself sacred. Canonization, then, wasn't about purity. It was about politics, about making sure that no matter how divided things got, everyone still argued from the same script. That's not sloppiness. That's strategy.